Hello my precious friends, I really hope that you are doing great. Welcome to today's class. It's our 9th and last lesson on a given form 2 mathematics topic called linear motion. So we are looking at our example number 12, which is also a past Kcse question done in 2023, paper 1 question number 17. So the question reads that two towns A and B are 400 kilometers apart. So I'm going to sketch that information that I'm given. So we have two towns. One of the town is A, then the other town is town B. Then the distance between the towns, I'm being told it is 400 kilometers apart. So a motorcyclist, so we have a motorcyclist traveling at an average speed of 60 kilometers per hour, left town A for B. So the motorcyclist is traveling from A to B. This is what we are calling the motorcyclist. So the motorcyclist is traveling at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour. So the speed is 60 kilometers per hour. Then left town A for B at 1:20 p.m. So starting time is 1:20 p.m. In 24-hour clock system, this will be 13:20 hours. 13:20 hours. Then a Matatu traveling at an average speed of 80 kilometers per hour also left town A for B. So we also have a Matatu moving from A to B. So this is our Matatu. So a Matatu traveling at an average speed of 80. So the speed of the Matatu is 80 kilometers per hour. Also left town A for B at 2 p.m. So departure time for the Matatu is 2:00 p.m. In 24-hour clock system, this will be 14:00 hours. You simply add 12. Then part A of the question, part A, they want us to calculate Roman 1, the distance covered by the motorcyclist by 2 p.m. So Roman 1, they want the distance traveled by the motorcyclist by 2 p.m. So remember to find distance. Distance is equals to speed multiplied by time. So we are going to find the time that it took the motorcyclist from 1:20 p.m. up to 2 p.m. So the time taken will actually be given by, so the time taken to reach at 2:00 p.m. you'll simply take the arrival time, then you subtract from the, that is, you subtract the departure time. So the arrival time will actually be 2:00 p.m. because we are told to find the distance by 2 p.m. So by 2 p.m. the time that is taken will be, that is, arrival time is 14:00 hours, which is actually 2 p.m. Then you are going to subtract, the departure time was 1:30, that is 1:20 p.m. In 24-hour clock system, it is simply 13:20 hours. Therefore, if we subtract these two, we should get the time taken from 1:20 p.m. up to 2:00 p.m. So I'm going to borrow 1 hour from here so that I remain with 13. Then the 1 hour is equivalent to 60, that is 60 minutes. So 60 divided by 20, I'm going to get 40 minutes. So this will be 40 minutes, 0 hours. 0 hours, 40 minutes. Therefore, the time taken will actually be 40 minutes. So if I convert the 40 minutes into hours, I'm going to divide through by 60, then of course multiplied by 1 hour. So into hours, I'm going to have the 0 and 0 will cancel out. 2 into 4, 2 times, 2 into 6, that is 3 times. Therefore, it will be 2/3 hours. So that is the time taken by 2:00 p.m. That is from 1:20 up to 2:00 p.m. Now, having found the time taken, we can now use the speed to find the distance. Therefore, the distance traveled must be given by speed, then multiplied by the time taken, which will be equal to, remember we are asked to calculate the distance covered by the motorcyclist. Therefore, we are going to use the speed of the motorcyclist, whose speed was actually 60 kilometers per hour. So this will be 60 kilometers per hour multiplied by the time taken is 2/3 hours. So this one is going to give us, if you take 60, then multiplied by 2/3, you are going to get 40 kilometers. Therefore, the distance that is covered is actually 40 kilometers. So we assume up to 40 kilometers they had traveled up to this point. So this is the 40 kilometers. Then we move to, that is part A, Roman 2 of the question. So Roman 2, they want us to compute the distance from town A in kilometers where the Matatu caught up with the motorcyclist. Therefore, if I assume that these two they met at this particular point, because they want me to find the distance from town A in kilometers where the Matatu caught up with the motorcyclist, I'm going to let that distance to be x. So I'll let this distance from town A to the meeting point to be x. So this is what we are calling the meeting point, the meeting point, or the overtaking point. So the distance, that is the distance from town A in kilometers where the Matatu caught up with the caught up with the motorcyclist. So I'll let that distance to be x. So I'm going to say let the distance. So let the distance from town A, let the distance from A to the meeting point, be x kilometers. So I'm going to let that distance to be x kilometers. Therefore, what I'm going to do is to find an equation for when the motorcyclist arrived at the meeting point, then the equation for the Matatu, then I equate the two. So I'll find an equation for the time when the motorcyclist arrived at the meeting point, will be given by, so arrival time is departure time plus time taken on the road. So the motorcyclist departed its journey at 1:20 p.m., which is actually 1320 hours, which can be written as 13 hours. Then the 20 minutes, I convert it into hours, so I divide through by 60, because we know that 60 minutes is equals to 1 hour. So this is the departure time plus the time it took on the road. Time is distance over speed. The distance from A to the meeting point, I'm letting it to be x, then divided by the speed of the motorcyclist was actually 60 kilometers per hour. Then after that, I'm also going to find an equation for the time when the Matatu arrived at the meeting point. Therefore, I'm going to have the following. So let me separate these working. So I also need to find the equation for the time when the Matatu arrived at the meeting point, meeting point will be given by, so arrival time is departure time plus time taken on the road. So the Matatu departed at 2 p.m., which is 14 hours. So this is 14 hours, of course, and 0 minutes. Then plus, that is the distance covered. If they are both starting from 8, means they'll cover the same distance from A to the meeting point. Therefore, time is distance over speed. The distance from A to the meeting point is x. The speed of the Matatu was 80 kilometers per hour. Then there is one fact that we know at the meeting point. The clocks of these two drivers should be reading equal time. Therefore, at the meeting point, if I take 13, then plus 20 over 60, then of course I add x over 60. This one should be able to give me this other equation. So it should give me 14, then plus x over 80. So that is what should happen at the meeting point. So the LCM of 60 and 80, let me check, by 200 divided by 80. No, we can use 400. 400 divided by 60, not possible. Let me check for this LCM. What about 240? So 240 divided by 80, then 240 divided by 60. Not possible. 240 divided by 60. Yeah, the LCM is actually 240. So I'm going to multiply through by 240. So I multiply this by 240. I also multiply this by 240. This one by 240. This one by 240. Then this one also by 240. So if I simplify, if I take 13 multiplied by 240, I'm going to get 3120. So this will give me 3120. So I'm getting 3120. Then plus, if I take 20 over 60, then I multiply by 240, I'm going to get my answer as 80. So this one will give me plus 80. Then of course I'm going to add, if I take 240 divided by 60, 240 divided by 60, I'm going to get, so this will give me 240 over 60, I'm going to get positive 4, but there was an x, so it will be 4x, which should give me 14 multiplied by 240, I'm going to get 3360. So this is equals to 3360, then added 2. If I take 240 divided by 80, I'm going to get 3. So this will be 3x. Then of course, if I collect the like terms, I'll take the 3x to this side, so that I'm going to have 4x, then minus 3x being equal to, on the other side we have 3360. I take this to the other side, minus 3120. I also take this to the other side, then minus 80. So this will give me x being equal to, if I take 3360, then I subtract 3120, then I subtract 80, I'm going to get 160 kilometers. So 160 kilometers is the value of x. So we are seeing that this distance to the meeting point, this distance is actually 160 kilometers. So this is 160 kilometers. So that is part B, Roman 2, the distance from A in kilometers, where the Matatu caught up with the motorcyclist. Good. Then we move to Roman 3 of the question. In Roman 3, they want us to compute the following. We are told that the time when the Matatu caught up with the motorcyclist. So meeting time, we can either use the equation for the Matatu, or we can also use the equation for the motorcyclist. I can see the equation for the Matatu is easier to work with. So meeting time, the meeting time will be given by, of course, we have 14. So it is 14 plus x over 80, which should be give us 14, then plus the value of x, we have gotten it as 160, then divided by 80. So this one will give us 160 divided by 80. You're going to get 2. Therefore, you are going to have 14 plus 2, which should give you 16 hours. So 16 hours simply means 1600 hours. So that is the time that those two actually met. Then remember, 1600 hours, it simply means that those two actually met at 4:00 p.m. Therefore, the meeting time was, therefore the meeting time was 16 hours, 1600 hours, or 4:00 p.m. So that is the time that these two actually met. So the time at this particular point, so the time when these two met was 4:00 p.m. 4:00 p.m. Then we move to part B of the question, but remember, you can also work with the other equation. If you work with this equation, you are going to have the following. So this will be 13 plus 20 over 60, then you add x over 60, it will be 160 divided by 60. So if you add this on your calculator, 13 plus 20 over 60, then you also add 160 over 60, you're also going to get 16. So it doesn't matter. So this one will as well give you 16 hours. So it doesn't matter the equation that you use, the answers should always be the same. Good. Now we can move to part B of the question. So in part B, we are being told that, let me create some working space here. So in part B of the question, we are being told that, so this is part B. A lorry traveling at an average speed of 40 kilometers per hour left town B for A at 2 p.m. Determine the time when the lorry and the Matatu met. Determine the time when the lorry and the Matatu met. So I'm going to draw another representation of the two information for part B. So still we have the two towns. We have town A, then we also have town B. Then we are being told that a lorry traveling at an average speed of 40 left town B for A. So we have a lorry which is moving in this direction. This is our lorry. Then it is leaving at a lorry traveling at speed of 40 left town B for A at 2 p.m. So its starting time is 2:00 p.m. Then its speed is 40 kilometers per hour. Then we are told that determine the time when the lorry and the Matatu met. So remember, the Matatu was moving in this direction from A to B. The starting time for Matatu was also 2:00 p.m. Then of course, then we also had the speed of the Matatu. The speed of the Matatu was 80 kilometers per hour. So you are being asked to determine the time when the lorry and the Matatu met. So I'm going to assume that these two met at this particular point here. The distance in between the two is actually 400 kilometers. So I'll let the distance from point A to the meeting point to be x. So this is the new meeting point. So therefore it means the remaining distance on the other side will be 400 minus x, such that when you take x plus 400 minus x, you'll find a total distance of 400 kilometers. So we know one fact. We'll simply form an equation for the time. The time when this was the Matatu. Determine the time when the lorry and the Matatu met. So this is our Matatu. Then of course the other one is the lorry. So the time when Matatu arrived at the meeting point, meeting point will be given by, so arrival time is departure time plus time taken. So the Matatu departed at 2 p.m. which is 14:00 hours. Then you are going to add the time covered by the Matatu from A to the meeting point. Time is distance over speed. So if I'm letting that distance to be x divided by speed of the Matatu was 80 kilometers per hour. Then you also find an equation for the time when the lorry arrived at the meeting point. Will be given by the following. So arrival time is departure time plus time taken on the road. So the lorry departed also at 2 p.m. in 24 clock system. This will be 2:00 hours. Then plus the distance of the lorry to the meeting point. The distance is 400 over x. So time is distance over speed. So the distance of the lorry from town B to the meeting point is 400 minus x divided by the speed of the lorry was actually 40 kilometers per hour. Then let me create some working space on this other side. Then there is one fact that we know. At the meeting point, the clocks of these two drivers should be reading equal time. So we'll say at the meeting point, the clock for the Matatu driver, which is reading 14 plus x over 80, must be equal to the time when equal to that of the driver of the lorry, which is 14. Then of course plus 400 minus x over 40. So of course 14 and 14 will give you 0. So if you take 14 to the other side, it will give you 0. So we are remaining with x over 80 being equal to 400 minus x divided by 40. So the LCM for these two could be 80. So I'm simply going to multiply through by the LCM, which is 80. So I multiply this one by 80. I also multiply by 80. So that 80 and 80 will cancel out. 40 here 1, 14 to 80 2 times. So we are going to remain with the x being equal to 2 into 400 minus x, which is going to give us the following. So this is x is equals to 800 minus 2x. On collecting the like terms, we'll have 3x. That is, if I take this one to the other side, being equal to 800. So it means the value of x will be 800 divided by 3, which will give us, so 800 divided by 3, I'm going to get that is 266. So this one is giving me into improper fraction, I'm going to get 800/3. As a mixed fraction, I'm going to get 266 whole number. So this is 266 2/3 kilometers. So that is the distance from town A to the meeting point, from A to the meeting point. But the question wants the time when the lorry and the Matatu met. So meeting time will just be given by either of the equations, either of that of the lorry or the Matatu. So the meeting time will be given by the following. So the meeting time, I can use the equation for, let me use the equation for the Matatu. That is the one that is easier to work with. So it will just be 14. The equation was, this was the equation for the Matatu to arrive at the meeting point. It was 14 hours. 14 hours, then you add x over 80. So x over 80, let me use my x as 800/3, then divided by 80. So it is x over 80, my x is 800/3. So this one will give me meeting time. The meeting time will actually be equal to, so I'll take 14, then of course plus, when you divide you multiply by the reciprocal. So this is 800/3. The reciprocal of 80 is 1/80. So this will give me 14, then plus, of course 0 and 0 will cancel out, 8 here 1, 8 here, that will be 10 times. So this will give us 14 plus 10/3, which will actually give us, so this is 14. If I take 14, then of course plus 10/3 plus 10/3, I'm going to get, so this will give me 17 and a third. So this is giving me 17 whole number, 17 and a third. So this one means that 17 hours, then a third I can convert into minutes. So plus, we are going to add a third into minutes. I'm going to multiply by 60. So if I take a third, that is 1/3, then multiplied by 60, this one means I'm going to have 20 minutes. So it means the meeting time was 17 hours and 20 minutes. 20 minutes. So this was 800/3, 800/3, then of course divided by 80, then of course plus 14. Yeah, it's giving us 1720 hours. Remember, even if you also use the equation for the lorry, the answers will be the same. The answers will be the same. So it doesn't matter the equation that you choose. Therefore, it was 1720 hours. This one is the same as 5. This is 5:20 p.m. 5:20 p.m. So that is determine the time when the lorry and the Matatu met. So the two met at 5:20 p.m. So this was our last lesson on linear motion. So in our next class, we'll be looking at another topic. Thank you very much for accompanying me until the end of this particular lesson. I do not take it for granted. In case you are new to the channel, kindly hit the subscription button and also turn on the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll get notified. Until next time, this is Kind Tuition Academy. Thank you very much.